And so we've accomplished that goal. But we still have some other signatures that we need on to go all the way around Spence Circle. And hopefully in the future, I think we're going to put 270 feet.
Yes, sir.
In the future, we'll be able to go all the way around just like we did Gregory Circle. But right now, I'm playing with the funds that we said we're going to allocate for the streets, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put all this money on street projects. Now, what we're asking the council tonight, and I'll let Jimmy finish, is to look at these streets. And if you want to approve all of them, or if you don't want to approve any of them, or if you want to approve 2 of them, but remember our bond deal to the city, or the citizens of Grapeland. We told them when we borrowed this money that that money would go on streets. And if we don't use it, we're going to have to put it in an account because the accountant is holding me accountable for every penny that's left over. If we don't use this money for the streets, we're going to put it in a separate account and carry it over. And I would like to get as much done for the citizens of Grapeland as we can.
Bill, explain to me this half street now. Where they're how we go.
We're going to go on M. We're going to go to the end there by Mr. Stubblefield and Ruby Turner's and go all the way up to Miss Carr's. And what's blocking us is, I don't think Doug and his wife have signed off on it, as well as we're looking at a legal matter between Mary and Frank Wilmore. I don't know whether his daughter or daughters want to sign off on it or not. But we got the paperwork done. Chris gave us the paperwork to get it done. We're just waiting on signatures. We got a reading as to what it's for and everything. It's kept up there, and we don't have anything from the Willis, not Willis, Johnson area. Now, Annette's come in and signed it. Has Robbie signed it? And I think we're still liking some more signatures on there. And I'm gonna be legal everywhere I go. I'm not gonna jump up and finish that street out and not have the proper due process done. And as far as we're going is right there to the house. We're not gonna make the curve and come all the way back around behind Miss Inez. Right.
Car.
Right, right to Miss Car. And like I said, our engineer here said, it's gonna get our funds down to pretty close to what we borrowed for the streets. But we are asking the council tonight to approve these streets or disapprove.
What we have also, so Mr. Moffett looking at the change order. If you can see that, we've, throughout the 7 streets that have been completed, we've found water lines. I'm sure everyone's aware we found services that were too low, gas mains that were too shallow, and it's not that they were installed that way. It's probably over the last 30 or 40 years. It's all sand out there, so the sand's just kind of gone down and down and down. So we've had to make some changes in the field. What we try to do is balance those as much as we possibly could. Coming out of Gregory Circle, we were at $745, I believe it was, under what was originally bid. We've discussed these streets with our contractors and put together a cost estimate. The city cannot exceed 25% of what was originally bid, unless you went out for bids again, and in that you're jumping into a part where you may not get as good a bid as you got originally. You have to incur additional bidding costs, additional advertising costs. So Angelina Excavating, our contractor right now, is on board to complete these streets using the money that they had originally bid for individual line items. So where we stand right now, like the mayor said, just an estimate. This is not what it is. This is just an estimate. Me going in there and trying to figure the best that I could prior to design. We're looking at $145,990.50, and the most that the city could spend with Angelina Excavating is $146,000 some odd dollars. So we're right there.
We're cutting it close.
We're cutting as close as we can cut it.
That's right.
And so that's what we.
Like
Yeah, and there is. We have some. You know, I put in some contingencies, and I'll tell you why. We ran into several water lines. Peach and Pear Street, for example, I had to raise the street up about 8 inches because of a gas line that was too shallow. And so then we also found 7 water services over on Gregory Circle that they were too shallow.
And we had no cutoff valve?
No cutoff valves whatsoever. When you got into them, they were not what we would normally put in as far as extensions. It didn't have corp stops on it, so you couldn't shut off the individual meters. And so we got all those replaced. We replaced about 500 feet of 2-inch water line in Gregory Circle, which is in the change order. You can see we had 40,000. Like I said, there's lots of stuff that goes on trying to make sure when we do this, I always try to anticipate for wolves. And that's what I call the wolves, or the things that are under the ground that we can't see. And so we try to balance those out as much as we can to try to design for those. And as you can see with Gregory Circle, we've come out in pretty good shape. So I'd entertain any questions if there's anything else I can provide.
So Lakeview's gonna be a pretty easy street to do, huh?
Well, I think it will, unless utilities. I think that it'll be okay. We're probably gonna get, there's always a service line in there that, but a water service line is not a big deal. I know it does make us lose some water, but those guys get in there and they get it fixed real quick. So Lakeview should not be an issue.
We look at it from a positive standpoint. That 2-inch going in there, if we burst it, it'll go in the lake. It'll fill up that lake. And so
There you go.
we do feel like we might, just to answer your question specifically, somewhere between Eddie Childers' house and the house, the third house we talked about, we really have to look at that real close. But beyond that, and if we also trying to, Bob is working this out for us. We're trying to get Dr. Cutshaw's approval for parking equipment and as an emergency exit. In case something happened over there, we'll be able to go swing through his gate, come right on out the other gate down before you get to the what used to be the old tile and flooring place.
Yeah, my son lives on the end, right across from Eddie.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's my
Well,
son.
Okay.
That's why I was asking.
Well, Lakeview, they'll mix it. That's gonna be the only time when someone won't be able to get in and out.
Right.
When they mix. As soon as they get through mixing, they'll roll it, and you can drive right on top of that mix.
and the good part about it is that we've got several cement driveways. And I know they can go around them mailboxes and come, but by law, we have to look at an emergency exit. And we've already looked at that.
Just had a question. What's left after what you got completed? What's left to date, I guess, bond funds that are left over? Right,
Now,
as of today? Or as of what's not been incurred?
first phase, well, Brandon, we're in the middle of 2 streets, so I couldn't tell you that. But if we finish this first phase,
That's what
we'll
I'm
have
talking about. The ones that were
190,000.
left over.
Yeah.
Where's this 146 coming from?
That is the 25% on top of the original bid that was $563,000.
Okay.
We can't exceed that 25% of that amount for construction only. So
And
we have,
engineering costs.
yeah, engineering is
Be the other
considered.
39.
So we got estimated $39,135 for engineering. That includes design, construction, the survey, construction survey, and the geotechnical report. I did not include materials testing in this time. Well, I think we've seen over the last
Saves us
7
some
or 8
money.
streets that our contractors know what they're doing. And I knew it coming into it because I've worked with these guys before. So what we're going to do is I've got inspections set up as well that either me or our inspector will come out and watch these guys we'll proof roll every single street. If we see some type of pumping or moving, we'll back up, remix it, and we'll make sure it gets done right. So but that is a cost savings off the mayor's step.
So the 145,000, is that what the streets are? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir. That's my estimate. Again, I have some.
That's just for the streets, that's not for the engineering?
That's correct. It's $185,125.50 total for the streets. There's for the construction. That's just again my estimate based on their numbers. It is some, like he said, I always shoot high. I'd rather come in here and say it's going to cost you $145,000, and then y'all be able to get a little money back, as I would say it's going to cost you $130,000, but I need another $15,000. So budget numbers, we like to go in high, and I do have some contingency in there. If you'll see.